The Arizona Diamondbacks rally to defeat the Cincinnati Reds on Sunday, putting them just 2 games back of the San Diego Padres in the National League wildcard race. But before we get to that, we have to talk Ketel Marte, because this story refuses to die. And there's a few main contributors. One, the Arizona Diamondbacks won't let this story die. And the Arizona Diamondbacks made this a big deal in the first place. 2, Ketel Marte, obviously. He didn't show up for work a week ago. He went home on a flight from Boston. No one really knew where he was. He did not communicate with the Diamondbacks. 3, he meets with Torey Lovullo and Mike Hazen with his agent. Is put on the 15-day IL. It's not backdated. And then he goes out to Talking Stick Resort Casino Friday night while the Diamondbacks are pouring it on the Cincinnati Reds to win the first game of the series. So, and since then, there's been some snippets that have come out from that conversation. Torey Lovullo said that he felt betrayed by the Ketel Marte situation. Derek Hall called it a mystery on Thursday before the Diamondbacks met with Ketel Marte. Players in the clubhouse ranged anywhere from Ketel's been a good teammate to me to Kevin Ginkel saying that the Diamondbacks are frustrated and that there's going to have to be an explanation or an apology or both. But this is I've covered all the facts before on different podcast episodes. So if you're curious about the full backstory of what happened in 2024 and 2025 and now in 2026, that stuff's already out there. So let me tell you what I think happened based on all the information that we've gotten since the incident occurred on Monday and since his meeting with Torey Lovullo and Mike Hazen on Friday. So here's what I think happened. Ketel Marte hurt his knee earlier in the Braves series, and I believe had injured it or tweaked it, whatever you want to say, even a few games prior to that. It's been pretty clear that Ketel has been playing through stuff this season a lot more than he has in the past. And so I think Ketel wanted the day off for the first game of the series in Boston. The problem is that Nolan Arenado also needed a day off, and the Diamondbacks did not want to put him on the injured list. And the reason why that was a big issue is because that's your starting second baseman and your starting third baseman both wanting to take a rest day. But that leaves your roster pretty thin. That's 2 position players on the bench that you can't go to. And what if Tim Tawa or Ildemaro Vargas get injured? Then you can't bring in Jose Fernandez, who is on the taxi squad. You can't bring him in during the middle of the game. You have to wait until after the game to put someone on IL to bring in a guy like Jose Fernandez, who, by the way, helped them win the Boston series and contributed in the Red series. So he's been playing great. So I think there's that kind of lead up where Ketel and Nolan Arenado both need an off day probably. And Torey Lovullo says, "Hey, Ketel, I know you probably need an off day. I know your knee's bothering with you. We're going to put you at DH. You're not going to have to do much tonight." And Ketel says, "No, I can't DH tonight." And then he and Torey have a falling out. And so Ketel's personal issue, I guess, for lack of a better word, is that he and the manager or he in the front office, whoever is saying, "Hey, Ketel, we need you to play today." And he says, "Sorry, guys, I can't play." And so maybe the personal issue was just he was upset. He felt maybe Ketel Marte felt betrayed by Torey Lovullo. Anyway, I think if from what we know and from what others and reporters who actually have sources, I don't have any sources. This is just information that I get from, listening to Jack Summers, reading Nick Picoro and on all of those guys, looking at Gambo tweets and watching the clips that come out from Arizona sports. radio. So I know just as much as the next fan, but from what I can put together, the puzzle pieces that I'm putting together, it's that Ketel Marte was frustrated with Torey Lovullo, didn't want to go to work that day. So in layman's terms, Torey Lovullo was beefing with his boss and did not want to go to work. Now, maybe that's putting it a little too simply, but if what I'm guessing right now, not reporting, just kind of putting the pieces together, what I'm guessing is that Torey Lovullo and Ketel Marte had a disagreement. Ketel Marte said, "Hey, I'm the star player. You need to listen to me." And so he put his foot down and said, "I'm not going to the game, and I'm also not responding to any of your texts." Because if it was, I think, because here's the thing is, if it was something not related to baseball, I don't see why the Diamondbacks would have any problem putting Ketel Marte on this restricted list with pay, backdate his IL, his injury list stint back to Monday. And then, if he's healthy in 10 to 12 days instead of the full 15, he'll be ready to go. Right. But I think the beef and the personal issue was Ketel had a personal issue with Torey Lovullo, basically just was frustrated and upset and just didn't go to work today, and then didn't go to work that day, and then didn't respond to any team personnel about this situation because he was mad at Torey Lovullo. If it wasn't a baseball related thing, then why wouldn't Ketel have responded to the text he was getting from Derek Hall or Torey Lovullo? There was a rumor that went out that he wasn't responding to teammates either. Gabriel Moreno said that wasn't true. But if I had to guess, he got quite a few messages. And if no one knew what was going on, then that means Ketel wasn't necessarily texting back, or if he wasn't texting back in much detail. Or if he was texting back in detail, then those messages and what was said has definitely not been leaked or reported yet. So from what I can gather, it was a baseball issue. And then he decided, hey, you know what? Like, after the game, he said, I'm just going to go home to Arizona and get it checked out. And then we can just go from there because this situation is a huge mess, right? And then Diamondbacks have some time to cool off. They go meet with Marte. Torey says that they both said things that they needed to get off their chest, which I can, from what I think Torey's saying is that, hey, Ketel and I had a disagreement. I felt betrayed. Ketel felt some type of way about me as in Torey Lovullo, and we tried to squash it in that meeting. And then I think that gets squashed. And then what happens next Friday night is, after Ketel Marte is on the IL, he's doing his rehab. Then he goes out, probably the closest nice casino to his house. He goes out and has a night. And here's the thing. Baseball players, if they're on the injured list, they usually get their work done early, and then they're free to do what they want at night. It's not a weird thing that Ketel Marte wasn't at the ballpark. And it's probably good that he wasn't at the ballpark, because I feel like with how this situation has been, I feel like him being in the locker room so close to the incident would probably only increase tension and increase the drama of this situation. So no need for him to be at Chase Field watching his team against the Reds. Or if he is there, maybe he's up in a suite or in a box, or, someplace away from cameras and the team. Right. That's maybe best case scenario. Or he just goes home, watches the game at home. You're hoping for a bunch of things. And then I don't know if it was just incredibly bad PR judgment, if he was sending a message, if he just doesn't care. But Ketel Marte went to the casino, a very public place, while the team was playing, and, was enjoying himself at the casino. And there's nothing wrong with a player in his free time enjoying himself at the casino. Now, could I question the judgment of that decision to say, hey, this whole story, like, this has been front page news in Arizona for sure for the last week. And, outside of the corrupt Dodgers and maybe the Philadelphia Phillies insane win streak that they're on, I'm like the second or third biggest story in sports. I've kind of, sullied the good name of Ketel Marte. Definitely within baseball circles, I'm sure his trade value is as low as it's ever been, despite even, and that's not just because he's had a down year where he's, I think he's been an 800 or above OPS hitter pretty much every season since 2020. So yes, he's having a down year at the plate. He has been playing lots of baseball games, so that's been good to see. But yeah, when my name is hot in the streets right now, to go out into public and just to, add more gasoline onto the fire, optically, it's not a good look, whatever the intention was. Whatever the intention was, it's optically not a good look for Marte. I feel like you'd want to, at least let things die down for a couple days. Or if you're going to go to the casino, go to the casino right after the Diamondbacks game, right before. I mean, maybe he just, went there from 5 to 8 and he left the casino like right after the Diamondbacks game started. I have no idea. What Marte, I don't know all the details of Marte's happenings at the casino. And Torey Lovullo said after the game, if Marte is at work the next day, then we don't have a problem. And honestly, that's about the only approach you can take as a manager who seems to be right in Ketel Marte's crosshairs. If you want Ketel Marte to come back and finish the season strong and be engaged and feel supported, I think you have to support him right now, even if he puts you in a difficult situation like that. Now, obviously, there's Ketel liking a post that says he doesn't want to play for the Diamondbacks anymore. Maybe they've come to an agreement that Ketel, come back, play out the rest of the season. We'll try and get you traded to your preferred destination during the offseason. Obviously, Marte can veto any team he chooses now that he has 10 years of experience in the MLB. It's just frustrating because it felt like Friday afternoon, the story was going to die down. We could finally put it to bed for a week. Ketel Marte stays out of the spotlight, but during an enjoyable blowout win against the Reds, if you looked on Twitter and you saw Marte at the casino, you just rolled your eyes and went, oh, this story's not going to die because the parties involved aren't going to let it die. Now, credit to the Diamondbacks for diffusing that part pretty quickly, but again, it'll get the fans riled up. And I've seen some takes all over the place on this on Twitter. Someone said that they blamed the Arizona media if Ketel Marte, maybe Ketel Marte doesn't want to play for the Diamondbacks anymore because of the media. If that's the case and you feel like the Arizona media has run Ketel Marte out of town, then honestly, that's fine. Because if a guy is going to be that hurt by what the media is saying about him, I'm okay if that guy gets run out of town. That doesn't show the most mental toughness or mental maturity if you want to leave town because of the media. Too, Arizona media, I don't feel like is that tough on Marte. Like, Marte's definitely had a lot of defenders. Now you can point to Gambo, who seems to be on the attack. Whoever his sources are really, just pile dirt on top of Ketel Marte. That's for sure. But they're definitely, I mean, you listen to the PHNX guys and Derek Montilla and Damon Dog. Those guys have defended Marte for months and wanted to keep him. And there were other people who said that Ketel Marte should be traded. He's definitely polarizing. He's a fan favorite, and he's also one of another spectrum of fans. He's probably their least favorite player. I mean, if you can't tell, like Ketel Marte right there, that's him. That's him right there. Marte and Carroll quickly became my two favorite players, honestly, in all of Arizona sports outside of Devin Booker. Right? Happy Kobe Day. Happy Kobe Day. Happy D-Book's Idol Day. Right? I'll have something for that at the end of the show for sure. Obviously, behind me are two of the greatest Arizona baseball players of all time. But Ketel Marte, he's right there. Ketel Marte's right there. Like, I want him to be a Diamondback for life. And I know he played a few games with the Mariners, but I want his real career, his entire journey in the game of baseball to be in a Diamondbacks uniform. I want him to finish out this contract, have more 800 OPS seasons, hit 30 home runs, play good defense at second base. I want that for Ketel Marte. I want that to be his story as an Arizona Diamondback. But right now, he's making the story about his, some people call it selfishness, his poor professionalism, maybe a lack of maturity. Those are all things that I've said, that I've thought, that other people have said. That right now, that's the story. I posted a video last week about how Ketel Marte and DeAndre and are similar Arizona sports villains right now, because both of these guys, you can point to specific instances in their career where they've caused their teams to go off the rails, to fall apart. These guys haven't come through in the biggest situations. When their team needed them the most, they weren't there. They weren't there because, I mean, let's face it, if Ketel Marte plays this week, maybe the Diamondbacks get another win in Boston. Maybe the Diamondbacks sweep the Reds, right? Merrill Kelly, Mitch Bratt, Michael Soroka. All those guys had poor pitching for performances. I'm not going to put that on Ketel Marte too. I feel like that's just overly piling on. But maybe his bat in the lineup just helps the Diamondbacks stay in some of these games more. Maybe they have better first innings with his bat in the lineup. It's frustrating because the story just refuses to die. It refuses to die. I'm hoping that we can go a week without talking Ketel Marte again. I hope. So let's get to the on the field stuff now, which is first, Diamondbacks beat the Reds on Friday 9-0. It was kind of cathartic, honestly, because of everything that had happened, and we were wondering, like, hey, Diamondbacks lost 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. We need to come in and hopefully sweep, but at least have a productive series against the Reds. And on Friday, everything went right. Rodriguez threw 5 2/3 scoreless innings. We saw Jordan Lawlar hit his second home run of the season, a 2-run home run. It seemed like he took a minute to get back from returning from injury, but against the Reds on Friday, he kind of broke through that. Diamondbacks looked like they were in full control, and the lifeless Reds maybe weren't going to be that much of a threat for the Diamondbacks for the rest of the series. But that changed because the Reds went on to dominate the rest of the series until the 7th inning in the rubber match on Sunday. But first, on Saturday, the Reds won 11-5. They got to Michael Soroka early, and then Litell came in and gave up a lot of hits and gave up a lot of runs. Now, down 4-0, some people argue we shouldn't have put Litell in that spot. I can go either way. Do I wish the Diamondbacks on Saturday had at least tried to, thrown in a high leverage guy, Ginkel, a Juan Murillo, I don't know, a Taylor Clark. That's who I was thinking of. Sorry, don't know why I brain farted right there. Like, could they have brought in one of those high leverage guys just to get out of the inning? Hopefully you're only down 4-0 instead of 6-0. Then that puts you in position to then you bring in Litell without inheriting any runners and see if he can hold things down for the next 3 innings and give the Diamondbacks a chance to get back into it offensively. I would have preferred that over just bringing Litell in immediately. I know maybe analytically that's the wrong move. Jack Summers said that at that point in the game, the Diamondbacks only had a 10 to 11% chance to win the ball game. So putting in Litell and just eating the innings, eating innings analytically was the right call there. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I would have preferred a higher leverage guy in that situation, maybe get out of the inning and then bring in Litell, let him get a rhythm without guys on base, and then go from there. The Diamondbacks did not do that, and eventually the Reds won 11-5. It was another decisive blowout loss because with this Diamondbacks team, it's very frustrating. They win a lot of close games, but there have been quite a few of these this year where they just can't get outs, and all of a sudden the lead just escapes them, and they're out of these games early. And as we saw on Sunday, as long as they're within 3 to 4 runs in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, this team is not out of it because at any point the offense can rally. And we know that this bullpen has been maybe the best part of this Diamondbacks team this season. So if you can get it into a high leverage situation, you know that the bullpen is going to come in and hold teams where they're at for the most part. Like this bullpen that the Diamondbacks have is really great. You look at Juan Murillo and Brandon Garcia and Taylor Clark and Kevin Ginkel and Gerardo Corillo got called up. Like a lot of these guys have sub-2 ERAs. I know Ginkel's is a little bit higher than that. It's like 3.6 or 3.7, but this is a guy that Torey Lovullo just throws out there every time there are runners on base and says, please get me out of this one, Ginkel. And Ginkel, time and time again, comes through for Lovullo, and he's earned that trust despite some down outings recently in the last month. But we know that this Diamondbacks bullpen is going to be fantastic. And guess what? On Sunday, it was fantastic again because Mitch Pfaadt only went 3 innings, gave up 3 runs in the 3rd inning. And then it was Gerardo Corillo came in, Taylor Clark came in, saw Brandon Garcia and Kevin Ginkel at the end. Juan Murillo came in. Like, these guys came in and held the Reds down for the rest of the game, giving the Diamondbacks the opportunity to come back and win this game. It started in the 6th inning when Corbin Carroll tripled and then was knocked in, I believe, on a sacrifice fly by Gabriel Moreno, who unfortunately finally broke his hitting streak, but still walked twice and had a sacrifice fly in this game. So at least he has a 16-game on-base streak now that he can continue to pile up. Hopefully he just gets on base every game for the rest of the season. But it started then. Diamondbacks didn't score for the rest of the inning. We're down 3-1. But then in the 7th inning, it was Tim Tawa. It was Jordan Lawlar got back-to-back hits. James McCann drew a walk. Lars Nootbaar had a ground-out RBI to first base, which allowed Tawa to score. And then it was Ildemaro Vargas who slapped a triple on the first pitch of the at-bat to give the Diamondbacks a 4-3 lead. Corbin Carroll then came up, sacrifice fly deep into the outfield, allowing Ildemaro Vargas to score and go up 5-3. And then it was Juan Murillo in the 8th inning. And then Brandon Garcia and Kevin Ginkel combined in the 9th inning to give the Diamondbacks a 5-3 win and win the series. Because if you were watching the game yesterday and the Diamondbacks just looked lifeless again and you were like, man, is this Marte thing eating at them? Are they just losing steam are they just at the end of their road? Do they have anything left in the gas tank to go on a run to finish out the next 5 to 6 weeks of the season? It kind of felt like if they were going to lose this series, they had lost the Boston series. They had lost the Rockies series before that. So we were staring, losing 3 out of our last 4 series right in the face, going 7-8 over our last 15 games. We were staring that right in the face, but we came back, we won, and now we're moving forward. Hopefully, and possibly one of the biggest series of the season starts tonight against the Chicago Cubs. We're not going to catch them, but anytime you can play teams in the wild card and knock them back makes things much better for you. And the Diamondbacks need to win this series against the Cubs this week. Right now, it looks like it's going to be Kevin Gausman versus Merrill Kelly. Diamondbacks need a strong performance from Merrill Kelly right now. He has a 5.37 ERA. Diamondbacks need Merrill, the mainstay, to show up tonight and keep the Diamondbacks in the game. Fortunately, they're going against Kevin Gausman, who's 6-11 and has a 4.58 ERA. So not exactly an ace that the Diamondbacks are facing tonight, but it is a right-handed pitcher who the Diamondbacks have traditionally struggled against this season. So look for Lars Nootbaar to hopefully have a big game. And if he has a big game, then the Diamondbacks should be in a good position to win, so long as Merrill Kelly doesn't give up 5-6 runs in low innings tonight. Game 2, we have a recent acquisition for the Chicago Cubs, Clay Holmes, versus Brandon Pfaadt. Brandon Pfaadt, outside of his performance against Boston, has been lights out since coming back from AAA on June 30th. We know the Brandon Pfaadt story. Hopefully that Red Sox game was just a blip and he continues to get back to attacking the zone, which he did against Boston. I mean, the 3-run home run was a changeup below the zone. So it wasn't exactly like he just served up a meatball middle of the plate either. So hopefully Brandon Pfaadt can continue to shove, and I feel good about the Diamondbacks winning that game. I don't know if the Diamondbacks are going to win the game tonight on Monday against Kevin Gausman. So I feel like we're looking at another Game 3 rubber match where the Diamondbacks are going to have to beat Matthew Boyd, who earned a quality start against Arizona earlier this season, allowing 2 runs in 6 innings. And the Diamondbacks have Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound. Right now, with how this starting rotation looks with Michael Soroka going back to the injured list, you need Eduardo Rodriguez and Brandon Pfaadt to, 1, pitch well, and 2, you have to win the games that they pitch in. If not, it makes it that much harder because you're relying on guys like Mitch Bratt, Merrill Kelly, maybe Jose Cabrera comes back up, maybe Cole Drake comes back up. Maybe they just say, hey, Dre Jameson and Gerardo Corillo, you're our like tandem starters. We're going to need like 4 to 5 innings between the two of you guys at some point this week. Hopefully the Diamondbacks can get some starting pitchers to play well like Kelly. But ultimately, you have to win both the games that Brandon Pfaadt and Eduardo Rodriguez play, because those 2 games are your best chance of winning. It doesn't matter if you're playing the Colorado Rockies or the Milwaukee Brewers right now. Those 2 guys give you the best shot at winning when they're on the mound. So you have to win those games. My prediction, Diamondbacks are taking 2 out of 3 against the Cubs. And then hopefully they can take 3 out of 4 against the Giants this week, maybe even 4 out of 4 games against the Giants this week, and get right back into this wild card picture, which right now, if we look at the wild card picture, Fangraphs gives the Diamondbacks a 31.5% chance, and Baseball Reference gives the Diamondbacks about a 37% chance to make the playoffs right now. The Phillies are at like 70 something percent, and the Padres are around 63 to 64%. So it's a 3-horse race for those final 2 spots right now. The Marlins are a couple games back of the Diamondbacks, so we're now in a place where, hey, we're also looking over our shoulder and not just looking at the teams in front of us. Because unfortunately, the Diamondbacks have gone 8-7 over their last 15 games, whereas the Phillies and the Padres have both gone 11-4. 3 of those games that the Phillies won were against the Brewers, the Padres swept a series against the Brewers. That really hurt because you needed the Padres need to lose games against good teams and also hopefully against bad teams, but that just didn't happen. And so you pointed that series right there. And then the Diamondbacks losing 2 out of 3 against the Rockies. And you look at them not sweeping the Reds. You look at them putting up pretty dreadful performances against Boston or not getting a sweep over the Braves, who aren't playing very well right now. And you just look at these games where you're a game or 2 away and could be right in this thing with the Padres and with the Phillies. But unfortunately, Diamondbacks just haven't been playing their best baseball over the last 15 games. With that being said, there is some hope that the Diamondbacks could go on a run in September because while Michael Soroka is on the injured list, it's hopeful that he'll be back quickly. Ketel Marte could be back hopefully at the beginning of September. And Corbin effing Burnes could be back at the beginning of September as well. He's facing live batters right now. Sounds like he'll get to pitch this weekend in a minor league game. Zac Gallen is throwing bullpens right now. He's a guy that could come back, and we've seen guys come back from injury and pitch well, and we've seen guys come back from injury and pitch terribly. Maybe Gallen can flip the script for the last half month of the season. But there's Lourdes Gurriel down in AAA right now trying to figure things out. He hasn't hit very well, and there's no need to rush Gurriel back until you get him the necessary at-bats and until he gets back into a rhythm right now. I would assume he will take Max Kepler's place on the team once he is eventually ready to be back. But even if Gurriel comes back, there's no telling how much playing time he's even going to get because Jordan Lawlar and Ryan Waldschmidt and Lars Nootbaar are kind of the 3 guys that they're playing in 2 spots right now at center field and left field, with obviously Corbin Carroll in right field. So there's reinforcements coming. We're so close to Corbin Burnes pitching in an Arizona Diamondbacks uniform again. Just hopefully less than 10 days away, ideally. And then if Soroka can come back in September and Ryan Nelson can come back eventually, maybe you're looking at a team that can win 10 of their last 12 games and electrify the baseball world and come back and kamikaze the Padres at the very end of the season.